name's Hamish. I'm a spokesperson here in New Plymouth, Positive Money New Zealand. We're a non-profit advocacy group dedicated to changing the way the money system works in this country and quite possibly the world. We're here at Judd Opticians to talk to the owner Andrew about how the money system affects a small businessman such as himself. My co-spokesperson Stuart is already inside talking to him. Let's see how they're getting on.
And to benefit them.
Hey guys.
So
Good, thanks.
Been talking about Andrew's business. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your business and how long you've been here?
So we're a small family-run optometry practice. We have 7 employees. I started it from the ground up and I went out on my own, so to speak. And yeah, we've been going for about 12 years now. We've won a few top shop business awards and been through a bit of a recession and come through the other end. Yeah, obviously it's optometry, so basically we're helping people see better, is what I would say.
So why don't we start by asking you what your idea is of where money comes from?
So my layman's sort of understanding of the money and the money system, I guess from what I've ever read or understood, is that obviously we started with a bartering system way back in the day where we would trade with each other directly with what we do and create. That morphed into money and as such, and I understand that became cumbersome in the sense that it was hard to hold a lot of money, and as in gold, because there was a commodity that was used rather than our goods to barter, we would refer to gold. And so then banks were created because it was too hard to have all this gold on you, and banknotes were then issued, and my understanding of a banknote is the promise to pay the gold, so it's a promissory note rather than anything else. That's morphed over time to then become things like Bitcoin, or as I would now argue or ask the question is well, actually what is money? Because if you think of the dollars we're talking about, and in terms of banks, I'm sure they don't have that much gold in their vaults, or do they actually literally have the money? Where do these zeros come from on the computer screen? So, to be honest, I don't really know.
Well, that's exactly what we want to get to. Just out of curiosity, do you have a mortgage or a business loan?
So I don't have a business loan, but I have the remainder of a mortgage on my private home use.
All right. Would you be surprised to learn that when you go to a bank for a mortgage, they're actually not lending you money out that they have in their vaults? The money is created out of nothing in the act of making the loan. Is that a surprise to you?
Not fully.
Yeah.
How did the bank have it? Where did they get this from?
Well, in a lot of ways it's comes down to a misunderstanding of the word loan and borrow, I suppose, because if they're just creating it out of nothing, well, you're not really borrowing anything if they have that power to create the money. Because the other misunderstanding is people are aware that the Reserve Bank in New Zealand creates our notes and coins, for example, but that makes up only 3% of the money supply. The other 97% is created by banks when they make loans, especially mortgages to people like yourself and whoever else.
So that's where the majority of our money comes from, is banks created. And our economy wouldn't operate if we didn't have this money that they create going into the economy. It sounds like a conspiracy theory.
Not really, because how does a bank start? How does a bank become registered? Who gives permission for a bank to be a bank? I would ask the question based on what you just said.
Sure. Well, there's a number of criteria. I don't know exactly what they are, but I was looking at the registered banks in New Zealand earlier today, and there's, I think, about 8 or 9 of them. The majority are Australian-owned. They make up 95% of the commercial banking sector in this country. You're aware of how much profit they made in the last 12 months?
Sadly, yes, I've seen and read that. As I've just watched some of the events in Australia with the recent events around, selling things to people that don't exist.
Oh yeah, because they've been doing an inquiry into banking practices over there, haven't they? Yeah, no, it's good that you're following that kind of stuff. But just so people don't think we're completely insane, could you please read out this, just in the blue and the green, thanks Andrew. This is the quarterly bulletin from the Bank of England into the money creation process.
In the modern economy, most money takes the form of bank deposits, but how those bank deposits are created is often misunderstood. The principal way is through commercial banks making loans. Whenever a bank makes a loan, it simultaneously creates a matching deposit in the borrower's bank account, thereby creating new money. The reality of how money is created today differs from the description found in some economics textbooks. Rather than banks receiving deposits when households save and then lending them out, bank lending creates deposits. Wow.
So there it is, yeah, in black and white. And just in case people think that in England it's slightly different from here in New Zealand, I'll just read out. This is a bulletin from 2008 by our own Reserve Bank, and this is Gillian Lawrence speaking that in a modern economy, money can be created either by the central bank, the Reserve Bank in New Zealand's case, or by private sector institutions, in practice mostly registered banks. By far the largest share of money, 80% or more depending on the measure discussed below, is created by private sector institutions. So would you agree that that's different from what most people would believe?
That would be a different understanding totally.
Yeah.
We have a sort of a naive acceptance that we're all, transparent and fair.
That's right. Yeah.
Because we all need money.
Well, and because I suppose the obvious money, which is the notes and coins, is 100% created by the Reserve Bank, interest and
tangible, we understand it.
That's right. But with the electronic money system, with the advent of technology, it's sort of created distortions and misconceptions that we're hoping to clear up.
So how do you feel about the idea that banks create most of the money in the economy?
Well, I think through the world we're seeing the tipping point that it hasn't worked. I say that because of the majority of the wealth is by so few. And so it's gone disastrously wrong because most of us are struggling. And I would say that not only from what you've just said, but from my understanding of what I've read is that can't be sustained because the wealth has shifted to so few people. Clearly a sign of privatisation of the money system, where human nature, and all of us, is taken over by personal greed.
You'd be aware of the Reserve Bank governor's role in setting monetary policy?
Yeah, so my understanding of that is that's to do like exchange rates and it's our dollar value internationally. And so they not only print money, but they control inflation rates and the interest rates that banks can charge out through their lending. And so they're levers that the government can use. They say it's depoliticised, but I would say it's completely politicised. And by whom, I don't know. What factors actually affect this stuff, you have to take it at face value of what we read or see on the news.
For sure, but if I said inflation, what would be your understanding of the word inflation?
My understanding would be the price of exchange rates of between commodities.
Exactly. So the basket of goods, the CPI, consumer price index?
Pretty much back to the whole bartering bit, but between countries.
Yeah, that's right.
And the trading of our goods to your goods and where that value sits.
That's right, and the Reserve Bank governor's role, as far as my understanding goes, is he has to sort of keep inflation within a target band of 1 to 3%.
That's my understanding.
Per year.
Political thing, yeah.
Now, if the housing stock was included in those calculations, do you know how much in the last 20 years inflation would have been on average per year?
I don't, I'm sorry.
I was looking it up earlier today, just Reserve Bank figures. And in December 97, housing stock was worth 221 billion. By December 2017, it was 1 billion 47 or 67.4 million. That's an increase of 383% in 20 years, which is on average 19% a year.
That's your problem, right?
Well, it's not included in the figures. When they target inflation, the existing housing stock, it's just not included. They actually include new housing, but the land in the existing housing is taken out. So it's as if they're fudging the numbers just to make the whole situation appear to be under control and sustainable and better. So
it's pretty scary.
It is. But what do you think we can do about this?
My big concern is that we have virtually no control over how much money the banks create. When they create too much, we get inflation, mostly in housing prices. And when they create too little, we get unemployment and the economy crashes. The banks crashed the economy in 2008. And we need to figure out some way that the public or some publicly accountable institution controls how much money is issued.
When you say we have to figure out a way, Stuart's actually been leading a petition that Positive Money has devised to actually give the Reserve Bank complete control of the money supply, and hopefully that will have some impact. It's going to lead to a select committee.
Yeah.
So who knows? Hopefully the political process, I like to sort of stay positive about these kind of things, that it can actually work out and work for everyone, not just the privileged few, the privileged few, the privileged few, in time. But we have to stay positive around that sort of thing.
Sure.
So, anyway, Andrew,
Okay.
thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Well, I thought they went pretty well. Now we're going to head on up the road and talk to another small business owner about how the money system affects her business. Let's go chat to Brenda.